The Minnesota Vikings have a golden opportunity as two brand new players have become available for signing for this Minnesota Vikings team, and they fit the bill for exactly what the Minnesota Vikings are looking for at this very moment. We're going to be breaking it down, going over who these players are, as well as the fit and what we would see with this move. We're going to be breaking it all down here on the video. Before we do jump into this, though, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already, be sure to hit the sub button. We have a lot of news coming out daily, just like this, going into the Minnesota Vikings regular season. You won't want to miss it. We're breaking it all down here for you guys. But before we do, once again, we notice that 91% of you guys watching right now have not hit that sub button, so be sure to do so. But let's get straight into this because this is a brand new revelation for this team. A major update has come out regarding what this team is looking for, and not just looking for, is going to get. And this is a brand new update from Ian Rappaport here. The Raiders are making wide receiver Jakobi Meyers as a trade target. Recently met with the team brass and requested to be traded. Per Rappaport and Tom Pelissero, the team cited his value. They had no plans to do so. Myers and the team attempted to negotiate a new contract but could not come to terms. Now, this is a significant update because we know the Minnesota Vikings are looking to get a wide receiver on top of everything that has really been building over the past few days, with Rondale Moore missing the season, Jordan Addison being suspended, and a lot of uncertainty otherwise. We know that the Vikings are days away from making a move, and we may see it as soon as tomorrow. Now, Jacoby Meyers being this candidate is very interesting, and we do kind of take a look at where we have been regarding the free agents, the names that were available via trade already versus what we're going to be seeing today and tomorrow with the releases coming to cut down the roster to 53 men. This is going to be a very interesting, day and a half at this point right now, because Jacoby Meyers has immediately jumped to what is likely the top of the Vikings trade report kind of targets, along with Adam Thielen, who we know is going to be a bit more difficult with the Panthers not really at all wanting to trade him. But that don't really kind of change the mindset of this Vegas Raiders team as well, who are not really looking to give up a guy like Jacoby Meyers, and especially with what we've seen over the past few seasons. He has, year after year, consistently gotten better, and you see the yards per game go up significantly over the last two, and going into 70-plus per season now, being a wide receiver one last year, pretty much, I know, if you're counting out Brock Bowers with that Vegas team, and going to see what he did with New England, he has really cemented himself as a very good 2B, 3 option for sure. He could easily take a higher place as well, and going into how the Vikings are really looking out and kind of trying to plan out this, potential coming days with signings that are going to be made, and we know that there's a lot of moving parts right now on the wide receiver group. Of course, Jordan Addison will be out the first 3 games. You can move Jalen Naylor up to 2 right now, Ty Felton up to 3, Rondale Moore likely would have been 3, Ty Felton 4 if the injury hadn't occurred, but we know now that we're getting thinner and thinner on wide receiver, and going to this, and going into the first 3 games of the season, with, of course, Justin Jefferson also being questionable, that's raising a lot of questions. Are the Vikings going to be able to kind of stay afloat with the wide receiver core they have? And this is where a lot of these names come in, but also now throwing Jakobi Meyers into this, you could easily throw him as a 2A, 2B alongside Jalen Naylor, and have Ty Felton really as a 3, and giving the Vikings that much options, the amount of, available pass opportunities and whatnot that he provides, he has a perfect fit and exactly the type of wide receiver that this team is looking for right now. As long as he doesn't throw the ball, and if we don't forget that in New England a couple years ago, we're in good shape. Of course, if Jakobi Meyers is an option here, and of course, as I mentioned, kind of coming down to it from Tashawn Reed here, due to the inability to agree to a contract extension with the Raiders, Jakobi Meyers has requested the trade, and, going in the final year of his deal, a trade would have to entail some sort of contract coming back as well to him. He wants to be traded because he's not getting a contract, and an extension would likely have to be given. Now, Jakobi Meyers in this instance would also make you kind of in a bit of an interesting place where you could give him an extension, ship out someone, whether it be Jalen Naylor, because he's going to be too much. And right now, at 3 years, 3 years, $33 million, 11 per season for Jakobi Meyers, it's a pretty, feasible contract to give a guy who has been a wide receiver 1 in other places. So I'm curious now, going into this season, how they are going to kind of move around, try to, swindle their way through the wide receiver group. And of course, tomorrow is the deadline for the 53-man roster. So we do know there are going to be a few other players cut, trade reports coming out. We know the Vikings are going to be involved, so it's going to be interesting to see what Jakobi Meyers, or how he affects this Vikings kind of mindset going into tomorrow as well. And that's when we're expecting the earliest to make a move. Of course, as we kind of go back to the roster as well, you have your quarterback, That's the right thing to do now. You go in, you got Carson Wentz. Now you're looking for your receiver. That's your next big kind of piece of the puzzle that you need to solve. And other than that, this team is in a very good spot. So let me know what you think about that there in the comments below. But there are some other moves that are going to be made over the next coming days, and that's going to be looking for another bit of depth on the defense. And this one also comes out from Ari Mirov here. The Eagles are waiving Eli Ricks per Jeff McClain, and having another cornerback in this room is very interesting. Of course, it's a bit shallow. You don't have the depth that you had over the past few seasons. But now, having a former Alabama cornerback and defensive back being waived here, played 23 games in 2 seasons. I'm not going to show his NFL stats because it's not too much to show, a bit lackluster. But when you go and take a look at what he's provided in college with LSU and Alabama in different positions as well, he's really thrived in college, and that could certainly translate to the NFL in the right situation. And I mean, what better situation than Brian Flores? Because as we go and kind of take a look and remember what this cornerback room is and how we've been discussing this all offseason, they need to add at least one more piece back there to feel the comfort that I think the Vikings are feeling everywhere else. The defense really got a lot better, every other position. The cornerbacks, though, without Stephon Gilmore, without, Shaq Griffin, it thinned out a bit. You're trusting a lot of younger players in this team now, so going to get another just to have is definitely a safe bet. And from what we've seen from him over the past little while, things seem to be making sense for, a potential reunion with an NFL team and in a Brian Flores defense where we could really see him kind of evolve into whatever we want. And seeing a corner and a DB in college, Brian Flores would definitely eat up the idea of that, having the option and the versatility that he provides. So throwing another player into the realm of possibility for this Minnesota Vikings team seems to be more so the plan of what they're trying to do and trying to kind of maneuver going into the next couple weeks as this regular season is set to start very, very soon, and to make this team get as deep as possible. So I want to know what you guys think about adding another corner to this team. Someone like this, Eli Ricks, who at 26 years old still has a lot to learn, but is a very valuable depth piece that you could really throw into a line of having your 53-man ready to go whenever. So let me know what you think about that as well. But one final update we have in this video, a little bit what we spoke about yesterday. The Vikings have the Vikings are waiving punter Oscar Chapman per Ben Gosling, but this is another big thing to keep in mind. We saw the competition between him and Ryan Wright. The Vikings like that, and they seem to make a decision a little bit early, of course. We knew they had to cut down this roster, but the Vikings can sign Chapman to the practice squad without using one of the 16 available slots, as he qualifies as an international pathway player. Wouldn't be surprised if that's what takes place. And this comes from Minnesota Vikings fan page as well. So this is just another update. It makes the Vikings' life a lot easier when it comes down to wanting to have that competition still there. They can still have that competition with having the international pathway. It makes things a lot easier, not taking up that extra slot on the practice squad. It gives the Vikings another opportunity here. So we knew this was likely going to be the route that they took. Ryan Wright is still a very valuable punter. He's playing very well. But Oscar Chapman, has really shown that he can be a legit player as well in this league. So let me know what you think about that as well. But that's all I got in this video. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button as well. We have so much news coming out. You won't want to miss it. We're going to have it all here for you guys. That's all I got. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day. See you later.